let's go ahead and get this rolling.
Okay.
Because I have something about your show today.
Oh, okay.
Sparked a bit for our podcast.
All right. Excellent. All right. Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 2. Is it episode 22?
Episode 22.
Episode 22. Today is the...
Thursday the 3rd.
Thursday, the 3rd
August.
of August. It is 27 days to Elk Season.
26.
26 days.
Till August 29th.
Yeah.
So 27 if you're counting the first day of season.
So whatever. We're close. We're getting close on Elk Season. And we have a lot of things to talk about today. Number one, you know what? Let's get introductions out of the way.
Yeah.
We're the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And today on the Elk Season Podcast,
we've got a bunch of we got a hodgepodge of stuff.
Yeah.
A bunch in terms of the news, but we have some big ticket items to talk about because we went and retrieved some trail cams.
Yeah.
And what data set do we have from that it's just amazing?
Oh yeah.
And it seems like there was something else, but I don't know why I'm kind of hijacked by the trail cam conversation. I can't remember what else it was.
So it was the hike to retrieve the trail cams, and then the data we got from the trail cams.
To me, I guess maybe that's what it was, but I was in my brain. I was like, it's all just one thing.
It was such just a singular experience to go and retrieve those trail cams, and you're like, if there's nothing on there, if I miss something, if there's not something spectacular.
When we say retrieve trail cams, they had been up there how long?
Over a year.
Yeah. And expectations were very low that there would be anything, because how much success have we had with some of these trail cams? Zero success.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I told you I formatted the SD cards wrong. That's my bad. So, you learn some lessons.
What's interesting, we placed these trail cams last year.
Yeah.
After that, we placed different trail cams, and that's when you had not formatted the cards right.
Yes.
So now we're going to go back and retrieve them, and I'm like, but you just told me you didn't format the cards right. So, but I'm in it for the long haul. And
I did that batch of SD cards separate because I got three trail cams. I got 3 trail cams for $110. So that's part of what made my expectations low.
And that's also part of the process of what we're going to talk about today is the review of trail cams and what you get. It kind of goes back to that old adage of you get what you pay for. Yeah. In a way, not that if you buy expensive that you get bad. It's just not as good.
Yeah,
so
I just didn't read any reviews. I just didn't know what I needed. These guys, most of the guys doing reviews are doing reviews on whitetail.
Well, when you go to any stores that have trail cams for sale, and I like here DMB and anywhere a trail cam is sold, there's like dozens of them to choose from. And you're like,
it's overwhelming.
What do I do?
It's like trying to find out what kind of silicone to fill your gun with at Home Depot.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I need some expert help.
I think I need that one. That one's for roofing. Are you roofing?
Right. And you don't know. Yeah.
It's for soil.
Oh, that's for your sink. Is your sink black? What? Well, the caulking is black.
I thought it dried white.
Yeah. So yeah, it's overwhelming to look at trail cams. So now that I understand more of what I want out of a trail cam. I got some stealth cams. I got the 3 stealth cams for $110. I have the 2 cutty backs that I kind of went medium high dollar on those because I knew I was going to use those a lot.
Yeah.
We went in south of Oakley, or we went over by Oakley to start that trail cam adventure. And
we have some great, and they were fewer and farther between, but the shots that you have are amazing, especially of the mountain lion. That's one of my favorites.
Gosh, it's incredible.
I think the crazy thing about that is, as good as those cameras are, that cat was so stealthy. It only had that one shot during the day and that one shot during the night.
Yeah,
and the one shot during the day he's cut off. It's cut off on the back end, but it's crystal clear.
If it's even the same cat,
probably the same.
You think so?
I think. Okay.
I don't know.
Based on my extensive experience in biology,
as a professional doctor, as a PhD in biology for big cats,
which
I think
I'm not, but I play one on TV. Actually, I don't even play one on TV,
but I play one on a podcast.
Yeah, once we had those experiences, I started researching mountain lions.
Oh, really? Okay.
And what I learned is they tend to have a sort of a zone of about 250 square miles.
Holy jeez. Right, but they need to reproduce. There's other cats within that 250 square miles.
It could be other cats. Well, and in all fairness, I'll back off.
Is it a territory that they defend?
It tends to be.
Okay.
But at the same time, they had killed a few of the. So I gotta just
okay.
I gotta step off this pedestal.
I'm curious
because I recognize that there's a fault. I actually have there's data out there to call me out. So I'm just gonna call it out. So we got that picture of that mountain lion.
Yeah.
And it was in the subsequent months where Oakley was killing mountain lions out of basin.
Yes. Yeah.
So it could have been a number of cats.
Yeah. So well, yeah. So I don't know. I really don't know. And if you think, well, what is 250 square miles? That sounds huge.
Yeah.
Well, what is that? If you go 10 miles by 10 miles isn't much, and that's 100 square miles.
Well, and if they're migratory in nature too, that whole data can shift.
With the prey.
Yeah.
With what they eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So and they do have to mate. There does have to be some overlap. Like the Grizzlies, they have about a 200 square mile, but the boars are 350 to 400 square miles. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting game that they play. Yeah.
Before we get going, I just want to.
We're already going, right? We're already going.
Well, before we get too far into the trail cam thing, I just want to. I wanted to throw this out there because it just made me laugh. I had a whole bunch of little things that I've been doing all day today around the house. I hung some shelves. I had to make sure that there wasn't a major water leak in my sprinkler system. I had to change the oil in my car.
Oh,
yesterday I put a yard of gravel in on the backside next to my garage. So that I've just been doing all these little chores. So today, while I'm changing my oil, I've got the radio on. It's on 102.1 The Bull. I think you're familiar with that.
That's that's a radio station. I do a radio show. It's 10 to 3 here in the Magic Valley on 102.1 The Bull. Okay.
And my apologies. I don't know what you said when you introduced whatever, but the song that came on, I was listening to, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a female artist.
Yeah.
And she's talking about falling in love. She's young, and then everything's going great and grand, and then all of a sudden. And you know where my mind went. I know the song doesn't go there, but in my mind, in your mind, I go, oh my gosh, this is a song for the podcast. She goes, everything's going great. Our relationship's doing fine. But then comes the month of September.
Yeah. Yeah. You were probably listening to Strawberry Wine.
Wine. You nailed it.
By Deanna Carter. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So September's when school starts. And so he was there. He was working at a grandpa's farm to get through college. Yeah. And September's like, oh, heartbreaking. Yeah. Sorry, babe. I love you. I would like to hear. Here's a chore for you. Okay. Write the song from his perspective.
Yeah. No, actually, I think about that a lot. So people are doing really those kinds of things.
Yeah.
What was the song recently that was written from his perspective? It's a country song. And he won a bunch of awards.
I should know that.
You should. I'm sorry. Did I put you too much on the spot?
I don't care. I know more about classic country, and that gives me some old school cred that you ain't got, son. So anyways. It's just me talking. I sound like that about everything.
Yeah. Anyways, I had a moment of going, oh, that's podcast fodder right there. Maybe.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with elk hunting. But I'm just like, what if the song was about elk hunting? And he wasn't going away to college. Well, she said
September. That's free license.
Free.
That is a license.
Open door.
September. How dare you mention? Oh, you're talking about that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway.
All right. Well, I take it back. So. And that's an old 90s hit. Yeah. That's a great one from the 90s.
And the follow-up from the male perspective is another 90s hit that's recent. And now it's bugging me. I can't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cow. Well, do some research. Find out. I want to talk about the Grizzlies that we talked about last time on the podcast. The last time we had a podcast was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago we talked about I did finish the book. We were talking about the Grizzly in the Driveway. The return of bears to a crowded American West.
Yeah.
That's the subtitle. And I mentioned it on the podcast. I took a snippet of the podcast. I put it on Facebook. Somebody sees it on Facebook, and they go, "Hey, buddy!" One of my buddies who's a potato farmer goes, "Hey, I got another buddy who's a potato farmer. Look at this video. He just sent me this video." I go, "Cool, man. Can I publish it? Is it okay if I publish it?" I don't see what it would hurt. It's from a friend of a friend. Whatever.
It comes through so many different lines.
I put it on the radio station's Facebook page.
Yeah,
thinking. Grizzlies running through potatoes. How Idaho is that, right?
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Sure.
It absolutely went viral. More, I think I haven't checked. Almost 1 million people today. It has been. I published it almost 2 weeks ago. On Monday, it'll be 2 weeks. It was a Monday, but it has over 900,000 views now.
That's awesome.
And it was very much organic. It's just a part of my life. I talk about grizzlies. I talk about elk and the ecosystem, and it just came up. Anyways, it was just knocked out.
You know where those bears were going?
For some ketchup?
Where? They were going to California. Oh, okay. I wonder if they made it. That's just me being satirical.
I hope they did.
They're like, I'm leaving Idaho. I'm going to California.
Yeah. When they ran in that book, they ran the computer models for how grizzlies are going to migrate from the Yellowstone ecosystem to the Northern Great Divide ecosystem.
Yeah.
And also where from there. And you would think, and I talked to Jared Fleury about this morning, you would think, just like I thought, they would come straight down the Little Belt Mountains.
Sure.
Right through Three Forks and just the shortest path possible.
Right.
They're not interested in going to Yellowstone. They don't care.
Animals do what animals do.
Yeah. And so they made this computer algorithm based on what the animals do, not what Harold thinks.
Right.
Thank goodness. Otherwise, we get all kinds of misinformation.
It just makes logic.
And it shows that these bears are going to migrate towards the Great Divide and migrate along the Great Divide from that. So if the bears from the Northern Great Divide ecosystem ever get to Yellowstone, and they will do so via Wisdom.
Yeah.
Via the Great Divide. They'll come down Wisdom. They'll swoop all the way around right through Monida Pass.
Wow.
The pass of Montana and Idaho.
Yeah.
Monida Pass. And that Monida Pass, that's the Great Divide, and that goes straight into Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And that's the road that those computer models predicted that grizzlies are going to migrate as their population needs to expand. Yeah. That's the road it's going to take.
And I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but I brought up a story from the book.
Yes. And then you read it. And you're ready to summarize it. Can we do that now?
Well, I thought we had already summarized. I summarized it to you while we were on our way to the hiking trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is cool. So let me say what I remember about it first.
Yeah.
Because he has a Native American woman as his wife.
And Andrew Garcia is born of I can't remember. He had like Hispanic or Mexican parents. Okay. Mexican. And he's mixed blood in terms of his language. And so, but then because of that, he has slightly darker skin. He moves to the Muscle Shoals Wilderness just around, the 1860s, 70s, 80s time.
Wow, yeah.
So he just wanted to be a part of the American. Well, actually, I'm sorry. He went to the Muscle Shoals Wilderness after 76.
Okay.
1876.
Okay.
Because he was a volunteer I would say volunteer, but he was a military volunteer. And he was part of the Battle of the Big Hole.
1876 was the year of the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
But then
some of those guys made it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he ended up moving to the Muscle Shoals, and because of his skin color, he was able to kind of trade and do things with natives that other people couldn't. And so it's a really cool memoir called Tough Trip to Paradise. That was published after his death. He had just left all his writings behind, and somebody went through and edited and kind of made it through.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting stories about his trials and tribulations of interactions with natives, and really the last era of interaction with before the West became modern.
Right. Before there's telegraph. Because I've read books from the 1830s and 1840s of guys going into Montana, and this is the tail end of that. This is right when the turn of the century.
Yeah, he wasn't at the Battle of the Big Hole. I just remembered he was at the capture of Chief Joseph.
Okay,
at the Big Bear Mountains in Montana.
Yeah.
So that's something he talks about. But he married a Nez Perce woman.
Yeah.
Through a long. She was passed off from the Battle of the Big Hole. Her father died. She was sort of orphaned at that point, and because she was young, she was passed off to some Blackfeet natives who took her in, and then he was trading with them, and eventually got them to trade her to him. But she and him had things, so they got married. Anyway, fast forward to the story of them going back to find her father.
Yeah.
And so tell me what you remember about the story I told you.
So what I remember is that she's gathering wood. And she gathered enough wood for a week, and they know they're just staying a night.
Yeah.
This is wisdom. This is a deep intelligence.
Yes.
With this, you don't have firearms, you don't have pepper spray.
Yeah.
This is a different level of intelligence. This is somebody. Yeah. So that was a big hint to me. I like that.
And coincidentally, it dawned on me. And the reason why I brought that up, this whole story stuff up, is because you mentioned, where they're gonna the grizzly bears come through wisdom and all of that.
Yeah.
The
Great Divide. The Great Divide corridor.
Well, that's where the story takes place.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for her father after the Battle of the Big Hole, and he's up one of the ravines, buried in one of these side ravines after the natives leave.
Yeah.
And so it's in that general area.
Wow.
Where this took place. So that's kind of what spurred this memory. And so what else do you remember about this other?
That was it.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
So
I remember more that you told me, but not on the podcast. So you can tell the rest.
So they're going to be, so Andrew Garcia is taking his wife. I forgot her name all of a sudden.
You told it to me.
In Who Lies.
In Who Lies.
Yeah,
I never would have remembered that.
In Who Lies. And he called her Susan, I think.
Okay.
But In Who Lies was her native name. According to this book. So he's going to take her back because she has some memory. And what's really cool, I love the psychology of this story, because one thing that I've learned in my travels of psychology is that historically our brains are really equipped to remember landmarks and places and trails.
Yeah.
And so when you hear the stories, some people have a hard time conceiving this, but we're all really coming from the same place.
Programmed, yeah.
We're programmed to be able to have the same capabilities, and natives are known for that. In fact, some Idaho highways, in fact, a lot of highways in the West are sadly built over old native trails.
Yeah.
But it was all those trails historically. You can look up the storytelling of them, and it's like, I was like Lewis and Clark were like, they just memorized these places and knew where to go.
The Beaverhead.
Yeah.
In Dillon is the Beaverhead. It's called the Beaverhead County.
Yeah.
And it's Beaverhead because there's a giant rock formation that looks like a beaver in the river.
Yeah.
And Sacagawea, or Sacagawea, depending on how you say it, was recognized it when she brought Lewis and Clark through, because she was all the way over in the Dakotas.
So we just have this capacity to remember, and that's a great example of that. And so anyway, so he's bringing her back, even though she was young when the Battle of the Big Hole happened. She has a memory, and they know where it was at. So they go back there, and they look up one ravine, they don't find it, and they're kind of disappointed. So they're like, "We're going to come back, and we're going to try again." And so they went back to camp, and when they got back to camp, they had a grizzly bear that had come through and ravaged their camp.
Oh.
Now, Andrew Garcia was a trader. So he had furs, he had a small bunch of horses that he had kept. And so they had a business that they would travel around, eastern Montana or western Montana and the Muscle Shell, northern Idaho. And so that's when In Who Lies is like, time, I know what this is. I'm going to get all this wood while you go do this other stuff. And he was able to go up and find where he believed her father was buried after the battle. So they go up and they see her father, and they find some others, and they rebury them because someone and I don't remember them saying explicitly, but I believe it was probably volunteers, militiamen that had found the graves and desecrated them.
Oh.
But they reburied them.
Okay.
Anyway, so they get back to camp. They have everything there, and the bear comes back.
Yeah.
But he also has dogs.
Yeah.
And Andrew, in his writing, he says, the dogs chased the bear off. And I'm just thinking, that's it for the bear.
Yeah.
In Who Lies was not so convinced.
Yeah.
But I think what's so crazy about the story, so they have this big bonfire outside of their teepee.
Yeah.
And it's pretty massive. They've lit it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they hear the sounds of dogs howling and crying coming back towards camp.
Yeah.
And one of the dogs is running at such a pace and such a fever pitch that it jumps over the fire.
Yeah.
And it happened to be like when he's like looking at his teepee.
Yeah.
Here comes this dog, and it just jumps through the fire and jumps into the teepee.
Yeah.
And it causes In Who Lies to unload a round on the gun that she has. There's a carbine.
Yeah.
And he has what's called I think it was a buffalo gun.
Okay.
So a much bigger caliber.
Yeah.
But she fires his gun. He thinks he gets hit. And all of a sudden, they can hear the bear and the dog is bleeding.
Yeah.
Inhulize butts the dog in the head with her gun because she's mad at it. The dog cowers over to Andrew Garcia and is like, don't let her hurt me. And he's like, God, and the grizzly bear won't cross the fire line. He just sits on the other side of the fire from the teepee and just stares at him with his and he talks about the big red eyes, just sitting there.
Yeah.
And eventually, it's like, what's really cool, another psychological insight that I have from this is as he's sitting there describing this experience, it equates to what I understand about flashbulb memory.
Okay.
So he's got a flashbulb memory that he describes here. And flashbulb memory, and I don't mean to get too technical here. It's when your limbic system, particularly your amygdalas, they commandeer resources from the rest of your brain so they have a lot of energy to focus on doing what they need to do to attend to the danger at hand.
Yeah, okay.
Which, in your mind, slows down the perception of time.
Yeah.
Things that are happening fast replay in your mind as slow motion.
Yeah.
So if you've ever had a near miss in a car accident or you've had a really traumatic experience, your brain will slow it down because your brain started to pay attention to as many details as it could. And that's what he describes in this story. And I'm not going to describe, you can go read the book yourself, but that's what's really fascinating to me is it's like, oh, he's got this flashbulb memory. And so he describes it and he eventually has this thought. He goes, I'm nervous because this bear could come kill us. A big boar, sitting there, huge, probably. I can't remember.
900 pounds, probably. Big.
And Inhulize, he says, I look down at Inhulize and she's afraid, and I'm worried about what she thinks. And then she looks at me, and the way that he takes it is she looked at him as if you don't kill this bear, you're not a man.
Yeah.
And so he has this moment of, I got to get it together. Like, if I don't kill this bear, then this sucks. So he aims for the bear.
How old was Andrew Garcia at the time?
I don't remember the age. I don't remember his age. But he looks back at the bear. He pulls up his buffalo gun and he aims at the skull and he goes, but I was worried maybe, what if I missed? What if the bear ducks? So he aimed lower towards the chest and he hit it. And the bear fell forward. He fired at it. Bear falls forward and it's like trying to get up. Like it didn't quite kill the bear.
Oh,
and
dangerous bear.
This bear is just like, I want whatever's in your teepee. And so he eventually looks down at Inhulize, and Inhulize is like, shoot it in the head. Like, come on, man. So but
typical wife. Typical.
He shoots it right in the skull and it falls dead. So now it's kind of funny how like this perception, and apparently was warranted by what she said in that moment in terms of her perspective of him. But once he killed it, she's like, I'm going to grab his claws. I'm going to make you a necklace. And every native that sees you with me will know that you killed a grizzly. And that's a prestigious thing.
Very prestigious.
Now,
very prestigious.
He discounted it. In his writing, he says, I let her have that fantasy for the moment.
Yeah.
But we moved on. But what was also interesting, and I think both perspectives are he didn't grow up native. She did.
Right.
So I want to be respectful of both perspectives because I think it's really cool that that's how she felt and that was what she believed. And I just think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I also go, well, he just doesn't have that culturation.
Right.
So, but
yeah, he's more American. That hide represented money to him. If you can't turn that into $1, then does it mean anything?
But they're only going to be there a day, as you said. So they got to pack up the next day.
Yeah.
He's got to get his horses back.
Yeah.
And his main horse, which, by the way, he had tied off just a few yards away from camp, that the bear apparently didn't go attack the horse, but he goes to grab the horse, and the horse won't allow him to pull him back to camp because there's a dead bear in camp.
Yeah.
So he griped and groaned, and he eventually let his frustration out, typical man, on his wife because he's like, I just want everything to be perfect, and it won't be perfect, and God, this bear is here, and the horses won't come back, and bear. So a really cool tale, and so sorry it took so long to tell it, but just
that's what a podcast is for.
Yeah, mansplain the mansplain
That's
from
right.
a mansplain of 1800s.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, it was just we talk so much about grizzlies.
I love a good grizzly encounter. That's a cool story. That's a crazy cool story. And I'd imagine when we see more grizzlies in Idaho, we're going to see them in salmon.
Yeah.
We're going to see them in salmon. That's right along that corridor.
Yeah.
There already was one. I think I brought it up on the podcast about 6 months ago, saying, hey, there's a grizzly spotted near salmon.
Yeah.
It was north of salmon, sort of along that Gibbonsville Road area.
Sure.
But every year there's
makes me think different about camping on that old Gibbonsville. It
sure does,
because we've done a lot of Gibbonsville road camping. Like that's what brought me up in the world.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
Yeah. We could spend a week there and not get bored for some reason.
Yeah.
But, that's why I said, take the slingshot next time. Just never get bored. Kids with a slingshot and a BB gun in the forest? Yeah.
No, I brought their, so in the spirit of archery, though, of archery hunting.
Oh, true, yeah.
We had the kids' bows. They're not toys, but the kid.
But they're not killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we brought the kid bows so that it could, kind of instill in my kids the ability to go out and they played with those quite a bit, going around and lost a lot of arrows.
Yep.
And you know what? They're like, oh, I lost an arrow. I'm like, it happens.
That's the price.
That's just arrows get lost. Yeah. And I think somehow that we found them all before we left, but they've done better than I have in that regard.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the next thing I want to talk about is the hike.
Let's talk about it.
We went to retrieve some trail cameras and we took a hike. It was a hike in July. I've spent a few nights out in the woods so far this year. All of them have been below freezing.
Yeah.
Except this one.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
It did not get very cold that night. It was pretty warm. And it's July. It's a July hike. And I have to remember, it gets me every time. I dehydrate more than others. I sweat profusely.
I think
that
whole thing I've had to learn to appreciate. Even this year, I'm like, because I just don't for some reason. I mean, I do sweat, but I don't dehydrate. It's so weird. And to have my own my DNA relative have the opposite.
Yeah.
I go, man, I feel bad.
Yeah.
And the cramp. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. It's been an issue for me for a long time, and I forget about it because I like to drink a lot of water. I like to pay attention to how well I'm hydrated, but I don't understand, or I understand better now, but I don't really understand how I get dehydrated so quickly. I tell people when you hike in the wind, you sweat, the wind dehydrates you.
Yeah.
Terribly.
Sure.
Terribly. But the heat also dehydrates you. And it's been an issue for me. The first time it was ever an issue was after I moved to Idaho. That first summer when I moved to Idaho, I was playing softball with some friends. And it was just hot out. And it's just summer and you're running. And I remember just being sick and just feeling like, oh gosh. I thought I had heat stroke.
Yeah. Which you probably did.
I don't know if I did or not. I think it was just dehydration. I think it was just I just didn't got enough water. My son, when I was practicing that practice, my son, I think I was the only one with kids, and he's in the dugout. He goes, we're in the middle of practice. He goes, Dad, and I'm in the outfield. I go, yeah, buddy, and the whole team just stopped to listen. He goes, hey, can we go to McDonald's when we're done? I go, sure thing, buddy. Thanks, Dad. And we all had to chuckle, and we went on with practice. I remember going to McDonald's and getting a large water and drinking it all, and then drinking another one and thinking, I didn't get enough.
Wow.
I didn't get enough. Yeah, and so I had that incident. And then just 2 years ago, we climbed all the way up into Ripper Pass.
Yeah.
And I was sick that night from what I believe is dehydration. It's a difficult thing to measure. I showed you the salt rings in my hat.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get salt rings in your hat, don't you? But I hardly wore my hat.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
You put your hat on, you're like, oh, it's so hot wearing a hat. So, there wasn't a lot of shade. There wasn't a lot of sunlight. So I wore it when there was sunlight. Anyway, I got dehydrated. Is that even the term? I always, when I talk about Gatorade and electrolytes, people always go, oh, have you seen that movie Idiocracy? Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
I haven't. I wanted to watch it.
The whole shtick in Idiocracy is they're watering the crops with Gatorade because it has electrolytes, right? And everybody's so dumb that they just think, oh yeah, we have to put Gatorade on everything. It has electrolytes, but why are the crops dead? It has electrolytes. We wouldn't just put water on it. So everybody thinks, and when I talk about Gatorade, I talk about it with this sort of fantasy. Oh, it has electrolytes. It'll fix everything, right? Yeah. And so they go, have you seen Idiocracy? But I had a very serious health issue for over 30 days. I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
In that 30 days, 19 of those were over 100 degrees in Boise. I think it's still a record.
We talked about that.
I think it's still a record in Boise. So anyways, it sucks. And I noticed my hips were weird. My hips are still a little out. But when you have to swing your hips, when you're walking and you have to swing your hips to lift your leg over a log, you use your hip flexor and you use a muscle in the top of your leg to lift that leg over. And that was the muscle that started to seize first. And I noticed it right away, and I go, okay, I got to stop. I need some electrolytes. I'm going to have some Gatorade and some cheese and crackers and some water. And I had some cheese and crackers and some Gatorade. I drank on that hike 3/4 of a gallon of Gatorade. And all the water I had, which was another at least a quart, probably more than that.
You didn't drink when you say all the water you had is still technically correct. I did borrow some water from you.
Oh, that's right.
But I didn't drink all of that.
Oh, okay.
I took like maybe a third of my jug from you, and I felt bad. It was like, man, I took the water from the guy, and I was sipping it. But that's telltale difference that we're different.
That's crazy. How far it was from my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not that far. It's not that big of a hike. We're all downhill now.
Yeah.
We had already picked up the trail cam.
Yes.
I'm not that concerned. I don't need to be that concerned. I should have been more concerned.
Yeah.
So I stopped and I had some cheese and crackers. We hiked back down. I can still feel that muscle as we're finishing the hike. I can still feel it seizing. I don't know if I told you. I go, it's still cramping up on me a little bit, but I know we gotta get down to the car.
Yeah.
We get down to the car. I got ice waters. I got a bunch of ice waters. I drank a whole ice water. I added another ice water to a Gatorade. I drank another quart of Gatorade. That's a gallon of Gatorade before I even start the truck. Well, no, we were in the truck by the time I started the Gatorade, but I did finish the Gatorade, and we get out on the highway, and I'm feeling just fine. And all of a sudden, man, my legs start seizing up. And I have to stop on the highway outside of Stanley.
I was really concerned, I'll be honest.
And I'm like screaming in excruciating pain because my legs are seizing, and I have to get out of the truck and walk on my legs that are seizing up from this stupid hike. And I have to crawl back to the bed of the truck, and I'm like clawing at my pack, looking for my cheese and crackers.
Yeah.
And then I get into the back of the car, and I just feel the first thing with water is like body temperature water that's been sitting in the back of the truck, which I think helped.
The warm,
I believe the warm water helped immensely because my body was able to assimilate it much quicker into my system. As a medical expert, I'm speaking.
Well, and when you hear that, there's something to that because I've heard that all the time. But that makes perfect sense. Like having the not as cold water, your body's like, oh, I can.
It doesn't have to heat it up before it moves it on. So I started eating heavy cheese and crackers, and I'm seizing up and I'm screaming.
It's pretty loud.
I just was letting it out. I mean, that's what I was doing then. I'm just like,
I just continued my Sudoku game.
David's like, are you going to eat those cheese and crackers or
you're just going to yell at them?
You're just going to yell. But in less than, I would say 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Easily less than 5 minutes.
It was over.
My legs stopped seizing. It was over.
I have expected you to scream all the way home.
I thought I was going to have to. I wouldn't have made it home.
Right.
It was.
I was a little nervous because we were going to go over Galena Pass. Not that we needed to out that, but you can bleep that if you want to.
No.
But I was just like, we're going to go over Galena Pass. Should I be worried? And then you get done and you're like, okay, I think I'm better now. I was like, I hope so.
Yeah, you said that 30 minutes ago, right? You said that after you ate the cheese and crackers the first time.
Right.
So let's see how this goes. But
I'm just a passenger.
But I kept eating those crackers. I kept eating that cheese, and I didn't want to eat any more of that cheese. It's so rich, it's so gross, and I am finishing that cheese. I am until the water's gone.
Yeah.
And I drank. I think there was more than a half a gallon in that gallon jug when I started.
Probably.
And I finished it anyway. So that's one story.
Yeah.
That's one story from this hike. And it's a reminder to me. What an idiot, right? I should have been.
We live, we learn.
Better prepared.
Just update that data set. But what's really remarkable is you have just over a year of data.
Yeah.
Because we retrieved the cameras, and our first thoughts, because we've had the history of cameras haven't worked right, batteries didn't last long, whatever.
And I didn't bring my dongle.
Yeah.
I didn't have the dongle to slide in the SD card to even see what I got. I just go, we'll look at it when we get home. Yeah. And so after this hike, and it was epic. After this hike, I'm thinking, all the way home, it's like 4 hours home. I was like, well, I hope there's something on there.
Just for, I guess, context, when we placed the cameras, and I know you know this, we started at 6 a.m. And I have all of this tracked because I have a Garmin InReach, and I had it tracking us both times we did it. And that's another reason why I really wanted to go. It's like, I want to see if we can improve our efficiency with getting in and getting out.
We did.
So we started at 6 a.m. and we got out of there just around 4 p.m. That's when I turned it off, which means we got back to the truck and we were leaving. Wow. So it was like 3:57 or 3:47.
Wow. That was a long day.
It was a very long day, very long, hot day.
Yeah.
We started an hour later this year.
Yeah.
We started at 7 a.m. 6:58 is when I turned it on.
Okay.
And we got out at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So we cut off 3 hours.
Yeah.
On that hike. But that still tells you it's a hike. It's a long hike.
It is to set trail cameras. But here's my big takeaway. Here's what I was looking for. I want to know. I had never been there before.
Yeah, neither did I.
I have no idea what's going on up there. But I've spent enough time on Google Earth. I've looked at enough maps to understand, and I've spent enough time in those areas on Google Earth elk hunting that I think I can identify elk. I think I can identify where elk are going to be active without ever having to go there. Elk are going to be active in September. That's what I wanted. Where can I find elk activity in September?
Elk in September.
And this was a proof of concept.
Proof of concept. Absolute proof of concept. And it wasn't. There was the time around September, but for the most part, elk like this spot.
Yes.
In September.
Yes. These spots. There's multiple. Yeah, these are multiple spots. And there's one black bear, one really cool black bear interaction.
Just coming right up to the camera. That's crazy. What is this? Can I get this off of here? I want to take it home.
The bear. You know what's funny about that bear interaction, and you'll see it when you watch it enough. But that bear is walking in the open for one reason: to investigate that camera.
Yeah.
And when he's done with that investigation, he
out.
Leaves. Yeah.
The video you sent me, I totally see that.
So that's what I was saying about bear activity. Bear activity needs to be a little bit better hidden, right? If I want to catch bear activity, I don't want it in an open field like that where I catch the elk. I want a berry patch. I want to find something different. It needs to be enclosed. It needs to be, bears are tough. Bears are tough.
They're elusive.
So I'm looking forward to doing more trail camera work. I don't know if we'll go back to the Sawtooth area. We'll talk more about the footage. Because it's mostly elk.
Yeah, mostly. And lots of elk.
Few mule deer, one fox, one bear.
In fact, I'd have to go back. I don't know which episode it would be on, but I'm sure we talked about it. But I don't remember. I honestly don't know if this is an honest memory or not. But I saw some elk that you said you didn't see when we were up there placing the cameras.
Okay.
Do you remember that? I'm like, the elk were there, and I was like, I see the elk. There's a bunch, and they were big, and they were fat like elephants. When we placed the cameras last year.
So I remember seeing elk last time.
Oh, you do remember?
Yeah. Because we saw the one with the radio collar.
And that's what I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember the radio collar for some reason.
I set up because that was right on the side of the hill. Right, if I remember right, we were right in the trees, and they were just down. And I tried to set up my because I packed in my phone scope.
Yeah.
So I set up my tripod right there.
Yeah.
And tried to zoom in. But we were able to see that one of them had a radio collar. So that's what I remember from that.
And that's the big star of the data set.
Yeah.
And not to get to
it really helps. It really helps having a cow you recognize.
Yeah.
We recognize different bulls because of their antlers.
Right.
But the cows, it's harder to tell them apart.
Right. And so we saw this cow with the radio collar, but in the video and the pictures that you got, There's this cow with a radio collar.
Yeah. And she has a calf in 2022. Yeah. And I think she has a calf in 2023.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
when you people, I hear this all the time. I just wanted to address it. People say, I just hunt for the meat. I'm just after the meat. I'll happily shoot a cow.
Yeah.
When you shoot a cow elk, how many elk are you really shooting?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's even the Native Americans would practice that.
Yeah.
Shoot the bull. We know that when you shoot a cow elk, you just
conservation.
There's 15, 20 of them you could be shooting. So, anyways, that's just an observation from that. Recognizing.
Is this a bad pun? Food for thought.
Here's some food for thought. I got a smoker.
You did.
I have excess elk meat.
Yeah.
I found a recipe for jerky. I'm gonna be smoking some jerky.
All right.
And the guy who I got the recipe from is the same guy. I forget his name. That has no. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Ken Rollins.
Oh yeah, Cowboy Rollins.
Cowboy Rollins. It's the bubbles on the outside of the coffee.
Oh yeah.
He showed me he showed me the recipe. You have some extra elk steak. You want to take it out on the hikes with you? Here's a recipe to smoke it.
Yeah, he's from Oklahoma, man.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we have I'd imagine because I pulled a 8-pound roast.
Yeah,
and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to do all of it jerky. So we're going to have some good elk jerky.
All right, I'm looking forward to that
this elk season. And
nothing like chewing on a piece of that while you're lobbing an arrow at the next batch.
Amen. Yeah, just to know that I can do it. I didn't want to order it. It's nice to be able to know. Oh, I can do this myself. I have a smoker is what I needed.
Yeah, I've been really happy for you and your smoker, and you've really leaned into it, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you got to do.
Glenna came over. I did ribs, baby back ribs last night. And Glenna had some right off and she's like, Brad and Glenna, my sister and her husband. And I mean, the bones, you just like, oh, take the bone out, eat some meat. So good.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
She's like,
oh, yeah.
And and the more I realize, the less you pay attention to it, the easier it is to cook.
Yeah.
This is one of the dumbest things.
One of my favorite lines comes from a guy named Franklin. What's his? I can't remember his name. Franklin Barbecue is a place in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And so Franklin, I can't remember his whole name, but anyway, I've learned a lot of my smoking technique from him. Even though I use a pellet grill, I learned a lot of seasonings and a lot of methods from him. Yeah. And one of the things he says, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. I've heard him. I've heard him say that.
So I've heard somebody say that.
Aaron Franklin is his name.
Yeah, well, I've heard somebody say that.
And so if you're looking at cooking, that's kind of what you were just saying a second ago. So you just kind of gotta.
What I found is some of the best meats that I've smoked have been on days that I'm like, oh crap, I gotta. Oh yeah, do this. Okay, forget about it again. Oh yeah, wait. Oh yeah, I gotta. And those like, wow, that turned out well.
Yeah,
it's called panic meat.
Yeah.
Don't know. All right, I think we can get on to our stories, whatever we have.
I don't know why I threw Miss September up there, but we were talking
Miss
about
September. We
had a debate, and it wasn't really like it was a debate. It was just like I have
Can I just get a poster for a door poster, like one of Farrah Fawcett, but it's just Miss September,
right?
It's a pinup model.
So I bought a decoy, but it's just of the rear end of an elk.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, is that Mrs. September? And I'm like, I don't know. There was no name on the packaging of the one I bought. So when I was walking through Sportsman's last, I came across like, oh, they still have Miss September, except it's just not her own. It's not just her rear end. It's
okay.
It's her profile.
It's a profile, but her rear end is accentuated. I would have to say.
You don't say. I bought a new elk reed the other day.
Really?
Yeah, because I have a blue reed that I like, and I've gotten good results from it when I've used it. But it's old. I bought a new one, and that one went missing. I believe that one went missing up on the double saddles because I found the case for it. If you remember last year, there was an old case, and I was like, "That's my reed case." So I bought a new one of those. So hopefully. Have that.
So Jared told me he got a new call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he raves about it. It's like, this is the greatest thing ever. It sounds so much like a real elk. It's amazing.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, what's it called? And he says it's this. I forget the name. And he goes, it's electronic. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm a purist, but you lose a little something there.
Yeah.
I know the reed I'm using is technology, but electronic technology is different. Anyway.
And in Idaho, there are regulations that think about that, but
I don't know what those regulations are.
I don't know at this.
I probably should.
The rule book's right there, but I'm not going to waste time right now because we got a lot of stuff to get to.
Okay.
This one, woman found dead after grizzly bear encounter in Yellowstone.
Yep.
That one. I'm glad you brought that one
That's
up.
fairly recent.
Yeah. Nature is beautiful, but it can also be harsh. Wyoming wolf snatches baby pronghorn in front of shocked tourists.
Wolf snatches pronghorn.
Damn.
Yeah. Baby pronghorn. But still, we had the discussion on the Elk Season podcast about how there aren't really any natural predators for the pronghorn. And then we see an eagle, a golden eagle.
Oh my gosh. That's right.
That's crazy to think about. And now a wolf. So anyways, to be continued, as always. Nature won't be pigeonholed.
I don't know where this one's going. You're going to fill us in here.
Okay.
I hear something came out and the bear popped out, and there's a bear stepping out of this truck side. Bear breaks into a work van. I almost said woke van.
Wow.
At Red Lodge. Sorry. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. Bear breaks into a work van in Red Lodge.
Yeah. That's it. That's just bears coming into contact with humans. Bears are, there's another picture in there that will come back to this, but bears are really good at getting into cars. They know it's a good resource.
Yeah.
People keep food in their cars.
This seems like it's a replay of something I brought up a couple weeks ago, but just a different angle. And so maybe it's just a different news article of the same thing. But we had brought up the Montana laying groundwork for resuming management of grizzly bears.
Yeah.
So
this is just a continuation.
Yeah. Is I guess all that.
And an actual advertisement. They call it passing the baton. Federal management to state management.
Yeah.
Right? The wolves are still here. They're doing okay. They're not going away. Grizzlies will be the same. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Okay. It does help to know what you're up against when you're trying to outrun a bear. So tell me more about what does it mean to outrun a bear here?
So I knew the answer to this. Do you know how fast a grizzly can run?
I do not.
Just guess for fun.
I want to say 50 miles an hour.
35.
Okay, I was a little over.
Right. You know how fast the fastest human can run?
25.
Less than 30. I think it's like 28.
Yeah.
But if you're not the fastest human,
so
if you are the fastest human, you're screwed.
Yeah. Only if there aren't any other humans to outrun. That's where I was going. Because I'll be safe as long as I can outrun you.
Yeah. So there's something there. This is brought up in the chapter of the bear book that we read, that you read part of.
Yeah.
And that was that grizzly bears can the bicycles move at just that 20 miles an hour, 20, and it's just the perfect prey. It looks like if I can run 35 and that guy's running 20, hey, that looks fun. But if he's only going 2 miles an hour,
it's not.
It's just not the same. It doesn't trigger the same. You're right. Yeah. So, anyways, 35 miles an hour versus your 20, even on a mountain bike, buddy, you don't have a prayer.
Yeah,
you're not going to get much faster than 20 miles an hour on a mountain bike.
It makes me wonder, of all the promotion to allow biking in the hills, mountain bikes, motorbiking on different trails, if we had a healthy population of grizzly bear throughout this whole time, would that still be the same?
I don't know. There'd be. I think there might be some warnings. Like if we had a really loud horn on a bike, that might be the best defense.
Yeah.
Actually, now that there it is. But a really, really loud horn.
Yeah. If
you see a bear, that might work.
Yeah.
That might not be a bad idea. Okay. Yeah. Food for thought.
Yeah. for the rest of the bears.
Yeah.
Steamboat Springs, Colorado has a population of suburban black bears, including a female that trekked nearly 50 miles back from Wyoming state line to give birth to their triplets.
50 miles ain't crap. Why are you moving a bear 50 miles? Right? 50 miles to a bear, she's going to come right back, right? She came right back to give birth to triplets.
Well, but is that what happened here? Oh, and I got. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't read the secondary headline. So I read the top of the headline, but the bottom one just says Colorado dumpster bear relocated 50 miles away from Wyoming returns to have triplets. He's like, I'm not just going to come back. I'm going to give you 3 more of these punks.
Yeah.
Come on, give me your trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, once a bear is conditioned for trash, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And you think about it now. You think about when I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I thought about this just today because I took my trash out.
Okay.
Because the wife's out of town. Just kidding.
Ouch.
Just kidding. I took my trash out.
I don't know you.
And as you go out to take out your trash, you realize these are cat-proof and dog-proof.
Yeah.
That's an important transition from the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And a huge transition. If you remember Grandpa's Alley in Shoshone when he kept trash back behind it?
Kind of.
You just had tin cans.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lids wouldn't stay on. There were cats all over the place.
Yeah, I do remember
all
that.
kinds of ecology, the wrong kind of ecology, supported by garbage.
Yeah.
One time I went to, with my boss, I went to what's called like a big garbage expo down in Vegas, where everything was garbage. And I didn't want to tell him what I really did, which was road work ahead, like traffic control services.
Yeah.
So anybody that said, "What are you down for?" I said, "We're at the garbage convention. We make bear-proof dumpsters."
Yeah,
because that's interesting. At least people will not talk about that. So I would tell them just as strangers, we do the bear-proof thing. Anyway, so a lot of work is going to need to be done to dumpsters and to the way people keep camps. Because I've seen some awful camps. Some really people leaving stuff out. Oh, it just tightens my jaw.
We've talked about it here.
It tightens my jaw.
It loosens my jaw because I say some things that I probably shouldn't say.
Yeah.
When I see that stuff.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Hey, in Santa Monica, California.
Oh.
Officials are preparing to have a crumbling portion of the bluffs above the Pacific Coast Highway removed. There's a huge crack. And apparently...
Yeah. Isn't this cool?
Was noticed by a passerby. Her name was Suzanne Yankovic, wife of Weird Al Yankovic. Now, I hope he makes a song out of this.
Of course he's gonna. Why wouldn't he? Isn't that amazing? I threw that in there. Both David and I are really big fans of Weird Al Yankovic. We listen to him all the time. And in
fact, I've got like 99% of what he has done on my iPod.
Yeah.
And we had to travel from Twin Falls to Montana, me and my 2 oldest boys. And I go, we're going to bring the iPod. We're going to plug it into my stereo in the car. What do you want to listen to? So we listened to Weird Al. And I go, okay, we'll listen to Weird Al until it repeats. And if he repeats, we're changing folders and listening to something else. It didn't repeat for 9 hours.
Yeah.
I had 9 hours of Weird Al.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe it.
That's a career. That's what you call a career, bro.
I was like, what the heck? And then we have not listened to Weird Al so much since.
Yeah.
But it was crazy.
Road trips are fun. You sing along. Yeah, I love Weird Al and road trips, and good time.
Anyway, lots of Weird Al in the stupid folders there. Raspberry, 8.5-year-old daughter. Raspberry's 8.5-year-old daughter. So Raspberry appears to be a grizzly bear.
Okay.
Snow is one of the twin snowberries.
Okay, show me the picture. Show me the picture. Perfect. So I snapped this picture because I follow now Grizz 399.
Grizz 399.
This is Grizz 399 and more says something more on there. This is a Facebook page.
And it just says
everything they publish and they publish multiple times a day, like 20 times a day. Every picture they publish is so anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
I think on the picture you're looking at, they have cropped out her claws.
It looks like she's just got her...
One set of claws is not visible at all.
But I think her paw is just turned inward.
And the claws that they do show look like they've been shortened. That is not a grizzly claw. Look at her claw that's showing. Those claws should be 3 inches longer.
She had a pedicure, bro.
I know.
I mean,
exactly. Hold on. Exactly. Anthropomorphized. She had a pedicure. Exactly.
Now you're accusing me?
Yes.
Well, explain these bears enjoying their day.
Read the caption. Read the caption. It's another anthropomorphization, and it brings us back to the point I was talking about earlier.
I know. I know. There's just something about that just makes me laugh.
4 grizzly. It's just 4 bears. I don't know if they're grizzlies.
It's a family reunion.
It's 4 bears in a pool of water together, and the caption says they're sitting around discussing the different ways to break into a Subaru.
Yeah. Rare trail camera photo of group of bears relaxing and discussing best ways to break into a Subaru.
Yeah.
So that's great. But
again, anthropomorphization.
And that gets us in hot water.
Yeah.
Because when we attribute human qualities to our animal creatures, we become emotionally endeared to them, and then we become in ways, and I can point you to a lot of evidence, particularly a particular show that I once fancied, that shows the devastation that comes with us being too anthropomorphic with our animals. In fact, the Joker even said, let me pull you apart and feed you to and see how let me feed you to your dogs and see how loyal your hungry dogs are.
Right.
He's actually reversing the anthropomorphization, because like a hungry dog will eat whatever it needs to eat to survive.
Yeah.
And I know that's gross and grizzly, I want to throw grizzly out there. It's a bit morbid, but that's just it. The show that I have watched is called Fatal Attractions. You can stream it, I think, on.
Yeah.
And it's just about people who have exotic pets that
are fatal.
They're fatal. It's dead. It's deadly.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So as we continue to anthropomorphize, you remember the Leo the lion?
I do.
That was killed, and the guy who killed him got so many death threats.
He was a dentist from Minnesota.
Yeah. And you feel terrible. And the same thing with the rhino. There's another story.
All of them.
There was another story. Anyways, so you imagine 399. She doesn't have a name. There's another picture of a grizzly bear in here that does have a name known to the public. Just go one at a time. We'll get around to it.
King Otis.
Yeah. Could you imagine being the hunter who kills King Otis?
King Otis looks like a brute.
Dude, right? But you wouldn't be everybody's favorite.
No.
Even though the inhabitants of the Intermountain Northwest have been killing grizzlies and using them as decoration for 10,000 years. I know it's a complicated situation. So that anthropomorphization is going to be tough for hunters as a group to combat, and we need to combat it. Right? These are wild animals, and I think if you want to contrast the anthropomorphization, you contrast it with the dummies getting selfies in Yellowstone with the buffalo.
Yeah. Oh,
right. That's the opposite end of the spectrum.
I swear it's been one of the worst years for Yellowstone and tourists. And tourists are just like, it's a zoo.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's a circus, and we're keeping points. Yeah. We're keeping points on the tourists.
Yeah.
You're not doing so good.
Speaking of bears and their brutal, what was it? Oh, somebody. I didn't get a caption of it. I don't know where I was, but somebody in Yellowstone. There's a Forest Service ranger.
Okay.
Keeping people back because there's a bear.
Yeah.
And somebody jumps out and runs past him to get a picture of the bear. It's like,
yeah.
But an example of a bear's true power as skill as a predator, is that a moose that bear's going after?
Dude, that is a full moose.
Yeah.
And the guys, that's in Alaska.
Yeah.
But those guys are in a boat, and that water is running so swift, that boat is running to stay still. Because I watched the whole video. And they're filming this moose, and a grizzly charges it, and it is, I don't know, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Before it's down.
Wow.
It's in the water. I mean, those grizzlies are so powerful. Because moose aren't small in Alaska.
No.
Right?
No.
Even the bear on his hind legs has to reach up with his mouth and get the back of that moose's neck.
It looks like the bear has bit off more than he can chew, but the
not
moose,
even close.
The moose is like, I don't know what to do now. There's a bear on me. He's just because the moose looks indifferent to being attacked, and the bear's like, just come down already. Right. But it's like you said, it doesn't take very long.
There's another, yeah.
Whose backpack are we looking at?
Good question. I want you to take a minute and look at that and tell me why I brought that picture.
There's a rifle case in the background.
Nope.
No.
Oh, iPhone storage full. Not now.
Oh.
All right. I'll just keep talking.
The trekking poles.
Read it.
Travel tomorrow on the dock for our flight on the 28th. How a stone sheep hunt rolls. To the other hunters, good luck and stay safe. I have no context.
Good luck and stay safe.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we always say to each
Yeah.
other. All the time. Good luck and stay
I'm
safe.
looking for something more satirical. I point to the rifle case in the background first. Okay.
Yeah. Good luck and stay safe. When we're out hunting,
good luck, be safe.
We always give a fist bump. Hey, good luck, be safe, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Always. Anyways, that was just cool.
That's cool. I wish I had been more in tune with that nostalgia there, because good luck.
That's all right.
Good luck and stay safe. We say good luck and be safe, but it's all the same rhetoric. Yeah. It's wow. I feel dumb.
Anyways, that was fun.
Hey, for everyone looking to move to Montana today, it was 103, and in 5 months it will be 140 degrees colder than it was today. Oh, and bears will eat you. I love it.
Yeah. That's a fair warning. That is a fair.
Yeah.
That is a fair assessment, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's 103 degrees today. In 6 months, it's going to be 140 degrees colder, and bears will eat you. And it's all true.
It is true. And I apparently had the same article of the grizzly. This is my clip.
Oh, yeah.
Of the bear. So we doubled up on that on accident.
Did you watch the video?
I didn't, or I don't remember. It's possible. I don't remember. I have an interesting. We're already over. Something I brought up when I went camping on the South Fork of the Boise River.
Yeah.
Deer came into camp, and I said I did my best version of a Sasquatch to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I saw this headline, I go, well, does this make me a bad person? Does this make them bad people? Because the title suggests that whoever did this is bad, but I also am conflicted because I'm like, but is it bad? So I thought, I go, well, do we have an open discussion about this? The title, the headline is Irresponsible Tourists Caught Scaring Elk Calves in Estes Park in Colorado.
Oh.
Now, am I actually going out of my way to be scary? So like I saw the elk and I went over there to try to scare them. That's one thing. So if that's the case, I'd say shame on you. But if in my camp and the elk come into camp, I should scare them away.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the full context is here, but the way that this makes it out is like these people were bad. Now, I don't have the context, but it's just an interesting thing. Made me go, am I doing something wrong? I don't think I am, but
yeah.
Severe drought in Montana.
Okay.
Did you know?
No.
So,
what parts?
This is on the Flathead River.
Oh, really? This is Jared Fleury country. Okay.
Prompts unprecedented fishing restrictions.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So, the article talked about how the water temperatures get hotter and the fish get more stressed. So they've put on some restrictions on the Flathead, and that there's a surprising because
the Flathead River comes out of glacier, and to have glacier water at a high temperature, it's frustrating.
So I don't recall seeing much more about that. It seems like I'm stuck in Idaho, where right now we just don't have that here in southern Idaho. We just don't have a drought situation.
Not right now. Not a serious one.
Yeah. So I was just like, well, that's a kind of out of left field. So,
but that's definitely Intermountain Northwest. That's definitely elk territory.
Yeah. So
I told Jared, I go, buddy, I'm telling you, this grizzly video is so good. It's got me so many views. If you're out and about, if you see any more grizzlies up there, you make sure and get that video.
Give me a video.
I did. Give me that video to me. He goes, you got to come hunt. You got to come hunt with me in October. In grizzly territory. And I look at exactly where, and I go, all right, okay. I need to buy pepper spray. I was also in Costco, and I saw that they had some pepper spray in 2-packs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because this is Idaho, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We got to buy it in bulk.
That's right.
So that's all we have.
That's all we got. 26 days until elk season. Get ready.
It's coming.
Just start dialing that bow in and start working on that cardio.
Wish me luck. I've been walking every day. I take the dog out. She's now expecting it about 7:30 in the morning. She's like, all right, we going?
Just a walk is all you need. Yeah. Just a walk. It's everything helps. Everything else. Yeah. Stay active. And We'll see you next week.
Be well. Stay awesome.
Goodbye.
Cheers.